Here's a Grindr hack you might not know about. A lot of users on Grindr will hide their location because they don't want people to know where they're located, right? Whether it's 500 feet away or 5,000 miles away. But it's helpful for you to know because who wants to talk to a guy who's 5,000 miles away? What a waste of time, right? So here's what you can do. You can star their profile, and that way they'll show up on your favorites tab. And your favorites tab is GPS based, just like the regular Grindr grid. So the closer the person is to you, the higher up on the grid they'll show up. So what I figured out is you can just star a bunch of profiles that do have the distance marked on the profile to get an idea of how far somebody really is. So if the guy who's talking to you, who reached out to you, ends up at the very bottom of the favorites list that you've created, right? Then you realize, oh, he's actually very far away. I'm never gonna meet him. Block. On Grindr, there's this feature called taps. I think taps are super annoying. I don't know about you, but if you're like me, it's just this absurd feature for passive users on Grindr who don't want to make the effort to actually reach out and send a message. So instead they can tap your profile. You get a notification about this, but it's just somebody trying to get your attention without really saying anything. So I would rather not get notified every time somebody taps, especially because a lot of guys seem to be very trigger happy with the taps. And it's just annoying to get like 10 notifications from Grindr on your phone, and then you go in and they're all taps, right? So here's what you can do. If you go to your settings, you can actually disable tap notifications specifically if they annoy you like they annoy me. And while you're there, you can actually adjust your other notification settings in case you don't want your phone to do the Grindr sound every time that you get a notification on the app, or if you want to avoid getting notifications altogether, to be discreet, as they say. I recently discovered that just because you hit the block button on Grindr doesn't mean the person is necessarily fully blocked, which is obviously a huge issue with the app, clearly a bug, right? But here's how I figured out that this happens. I was talking to this guy, and I guess he blocked me because he disappeared from my chat. Didn't do anything controversial. I guess he was just sick of talking to me. Who knows? He disappeared from my chat, right? And then later, I went to my album on my profile on Grindr, and it said that my album was still shared with him. And when I clicked on his profile, I could see his profile again. And I could see our chat, and I could reach out to him. And I realized that in the past, I blocked guys before who showed up in my viewed me tab, like on the tab where it says who just looked at your profile. So I realized this must be the way that that happens. That if your album is still shared with somebody, even after blocking them, they can still access not just your profile and chat, but your photos. So make sure if you want to block somebody that you actually hide your album, that you revoke access to your album. Otherwise, that person still has access not just to reach out to you, but to look at potentially personal pictures that you sent their way.